Hey guys, this is Jim, KN4YCD. You're watching FEP Labs Radio. Thanks for stopping by. So, if you saw my short on YouTube, you'll know I showed this equipment earlier. What are we going to do with it? We have an inverter, a 2000 watt inverter. We have a 100 amp hour Chins battery, LifePo 4. This is rated 100 amp hours, 1280 watt hours, so it's a big honker. And we have this little guy. So, this is a Klein Tools AC/DC meter, clamp-on current. Also does AC and DC current as well, and this is the clamp-on style. Or you can measure current, I believe, with the probes. So let's explore that. It has a couple other functions, and we're going to dig into all those. So let me rearrange the kit here and get this set up for some testing. Stick around. Okay, so I have everything set up and cleared this off so we can at least look at this. I'd like to move this a little farther off camera. The cables to the battery are fairly short, so it's going to have to kind of sit there out of our way as much as possible. So this is hooked up to the Chins battery. As I said, that's 100 amp hour LifePo 4. This is the Best Tech 2000 watt inverter. So, and I've done reviews on both of these products before on my channel, and you probably have seen them, and if not, I'll put links to those specific videos in the dingus below. So this is a clamp-on multimeter, and this is Klein Tools, and there's various other brands. I bought this one because Klein Tools are supposedly really good. So this does resistance, this does amperage, it does non-contact voltage testing, and it does straight up voltage testing. It's auto ranging. It will save your readings so that if you're grabbing a reading, you can just hit that and it'll hold so you can jot it down or whatever. This is the non-contact voltage antenna, and when this gets in proximity to active current, it will beep and tell you that we've got voltage here. If the voltage is above a certain amount for AC or DC, it will tell you that it's hazardous voltage by putting a little lightning bolt on the display. And then it has a backlight on the display. It's actually a pretty compact device. It comes with this set of probes, an instruction manual with specs, and then a handy carrying case for pocket or purse or belt. So these are Cat 3 probes, Cat 3, Cat 4 probes. These have the flash shields on them if you're working in a Cat 3 or Cat 4 environment, and then you can also take the arc flash shields off if you're not working in a high voltage environment where arc flash could be an issue. And what these do is minimize the amount of bare metal exposed on high voltage so you don't potentially create an arc flash situation. That's why those are shielded like that, so there's very little exposed metal for an arc to form. And if you're doing low voltage DC stuff like most hams are doing, then you could take those shields off or not. It works either way just fine with them or without them. It's just safety protection for higher voltage work. The device itself is pretty straightforward. You turn it on. There is our resistance setting. It also has continuity. Let me go ahead and plug the probes in. And these go in just like any meter probe would. You have a common, got to take the safety cap off. You got a common connection and you have a voltage connection, which are marked volt, ohm, and common. If you're testing resistance, the circuit has to be cold. You cannot test resistance with a live circuit. So this is that power supply I was messing with the other day when I was playing with the desoldering stuff, and I believe there's a resistor on there. We can test a couple of them real quick, and it works just like any meter does. Put it on there and it gives us our reading. So there we go. You can set it auto range. You can also hard set the range and cycle through that. So if you'll notice there, it's got a little K. It's hard for me to do this with one hand. It's got a little K out to the side, so this is a 42.8 K ohms is what the meter's reading. So that's straight up straight up resistance, like we've seen before. This does not do capacitance. It does not do diode checks. It does, however, do continuity, which works exactly like you'd expect it to work. No big deal there. It comes with a sticker on the screen. Ooh, a little bit of ASMR. Let's DC the cables. So the big selling point of this is to check current without having to break open the circuit. If you don't know, you test current in series. Voltage is tested in parallel. So if I wanted to test the voltage of this battery sitting right here, I'd put one probe on the hot and one probe on the negative, and that would get us our DC voltage. And indeed, that works exactly like you'd expect it to work. As I touch the contacts on the battery, we get our straight up DC voltage. And DC voltage, like I said, is measured in parallel. So if we want to measure current, current is measured in series. So this meter is not really set up to measure current in series. This is meant to measure current with clamp-on methodology. And this is very common in industrial electrical meter applications. Okay, so we're set up now to test AC current. And when you test current, the thing with testing current is when we did the battery, you notice I had it clamped over 2 red wires. This has 2 leads for positive and negative. We need to test the current carrying wire. This is DC, and we're still only testing one side. All the current is going through there. On an AC circuit, we need to test just one wire, not the entire cable, because what's going to happen is the sine wave of the AC circuit will cancel out with both wires in the clamp, and we won't read any current. We want to read current. Now, I bought this mostly for DC voltage testing and DC current testing, but it will do AC, and I want to demonstrate how we do AC. So we're going to flip it to the 20 amp range. Actually, I'm going to set it to 200. I'm pretty sure this is not using 200 amps. Well, I know it's not. So we'll go on the 20 amp range. Now this is my Weller soldering station over here, and that's just what we're going to use for test. So right now it's not turned on, and we have 0 amps on the auto 20 amp range. So I'm going to turn on the soldering station, and you can see now we're pulling about 0.1 amp as this starts to heat up. And I could change the range and take it off of auto. So it's pulling about 0.6 to 0.7 amperes of current. That's actually less than I thought it would. But if I test this with the entire cable for this device, I don't know if I had that on camera, so let me do that again. We're going to test the hot wire there. And you can see we're pulling about 0.7 amps of current. Now, if I test the entire cable, we get almost nothing. I haven't turned the soldering station off. It's on, it's hot. But when I come back here and test that hot wire, now it's coasting now, obviously, because it's already on. So it's just keeping everything warm. That's probably the heater kicking on, right? If I test the neutral wire, and I very carefully slice this open. They probably make a specific test rig for this. But again, we're only testing one side of the AAC, the alternating current circuit. And then here's our ground cable. And that's nothing, residual current. But if we go back and we test one of our wires, you can see we're pulling about a half an amp. And again, if I test both wires at the same time, it zeroes out because of the alternating current. All right, another neat feature of this meter is what's called non-contact voltage. So you press and hold the NCV button, and this is the non-contact voltage antenna, and what this is telling me is it will tell me if I'm in the presence of AC or DC electricity within the range of this gadget. There we go. And it's beeping because I am in the presence of voltage. And I don't know if you can see it on the camera, that it lights up and makes that obnoxious tone. So this is hot, and that's what this is for. So if you took an outlet cover off or a light switch cover or whatever, you were doing any kind of AC electrical work, you just turn this thing on and press and hold this orange button, the NCV, non-contact voltage. Press that and hold it, and put the antenna near your circuit, and it says EF, electric field. So this is hot. All right, and I showed you that it tests voltage and it tests resistance. It has a backlight, auto ranging. I can turn that off. Another button that I did not mention, let's test our current again. We'll turn on the max function. So now, every time our current exceeds the current amperage, it holds it. So if this thing was oscillating up and down, let me turn this off and let it cool off a minute. Okay, I let it cool off a minute and I'm going to turn it back on. Our max reading was 0.126 amps. So as I turn this back on and the heater kicks on, and I only let it cool off about 30 seconds, but this should work. Boom. Now we have a new max. We've pulled, and again, this is only showing the max. So every time we peak over, it saves that value. So I know that this thing has pulled a maximum of 0.7 amps, 0.75 amps to be exact. So that's a pretty neat function. And if I hit it again, it turns off the max function. If I said, oh, what's that reading? I can press and hold the side button to hold it and grab a quick note of that reading, press the side button again, and it releases. So pretty cool. And as I said, it also does DC current. There's nothing hooked in the inverter right now. It is on, and it's pulling a few amps, 0.15, and if I turn it off, that'll probably go down to almost nothing. Now, it's running the electronics, it's not doing anything. There we go. There was the inrush as I powered it on and the fans kicked off. So pretty neat. It does AC and DC current, AC and DC voltage up to 600 volts, I believe. It is a 2000 count meter, 400 amps AC. So pretty nice meter. Cat 3 certified. That's what the flash covers were for. So a nice tool to put in your kit. Guys, that's all I have for today's video. If you like this, would you give me a thumbs up? Make sure you hit the subscribe link below if you're not subscribed to the channel, and ring the bell so you get notified whenever I post any new content. Fellas, have a great day. 73s.